Hi, I'm Dave Sobel from the Business of Tech podcast, here with another editorial, this time a response to something I've been seeing. I've been seeing a ton of pieces around optimism and the market. Times are hard right now. There's an inclination to be optimistic and talk about upsides. It's not a bad thing, but I'm seeing a lot of rah rah, this is a great time. This is a great time to be in the industry. This is a great time to find opportunity. There are tons of fluff pieces about opportunity. I feel like I'm tripping over statements praising the technology space. These pieces are short on detail, but heavy on feel good. They do feel good. But there is a real danger in a feel-good piece that isn't grounded in reality. Blind optimism can be destructive. Let's call these pieces optimism porn. Just like there's food porn, which glamorizes cooking or eating in advertisements, optimism porn tries to glamorize or boost a situation, but that can mask the substance. I don't lack for examples right now. I'm going to focus on one, as I think it's a particularly egregious version of optimism porn, and given as it's an editorial, which by its very nature is designed to stimulate conversation, I'm going to name the piece and the author as this is that conversation. Robert Faltera, Channel Company's executive chairman, wrote a piece titled, "These Changes Create an Opportunity We've Not Seen Before." Let's start out by saying that this piece includes exactly one line, hoping everyone is healthy before trying to cheerlead without insight. One line. I'll come back to why that's a problem later. I need to break down some of the stupidity of this piece. After doubting that the handshake needs to change. By the way, it does, Bob, because that's how disease spreads now, and it's gross. Let's actually get into the meat of his arguments to introduce technology. Quote, "Is there any doubt that anyone who requires a computer at work needs to be easily able to work at a remote location?" Yup. Computers on factory lines can't be affordable. The ones in laboratories can't be. The ones that are air-gapped, as for security reasons, can't be. Those computers at a dentist's office. How about the ones on the sidelines at sporting events for coaches, managers? Should I go on? Anyone who requires a computer loses so much nuance as to be insane. Is rethinking the workplace an opportunity? Absolutely yes. Will we have a discussion about the use of office space or the design of cities and how we will have huge buildings now vacant that we're questioning the value of? Absolutely. Do companies need to redesign? Sure, but we already knew that. And you're glossing over so much nuance as to lose the script. Speaking of lack of nuance, quote, "Elementary school teachers must be able to conduct classes remotely moving forward." Here's someone who's not been in a classroom full of first graders. This isn't a training problem. How are you solving the problem of a squirming little kid on the other end of the call? As parents all around the world are suffering with right now, are they supposed to sit there with their children and supervise remote learning? More technology is not the answer. Next one, because the theme is there. Quote, "Universities can no longer dabble in distance learning. They must be able to do it effectively. This is not only a technology sales opportunity, but also a training opportunity for strategic service providers." Sure, universities are totally ripe for disruption, but this isn't a simple training and sales opportunity. Let's dig in here. Universities intentionally create scarcity in order to charge premium prices. Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they can all charge a premium price because there are very few number of spots for students. Moving to distant learning is not just a matter of slapping technology on this, as we've already seen already. Will you really pay $30,000 or $40,000 a year for your child to get a Zoom call? When supply becomes infinite, you don't need so many individual schools. Everyone can go to Harvard, and just the top brands survive. Will you send your kids to virtual university for $30, $40, $60,000 a year this fall? Sorry, Bob, This isn't just a sales opportunity, and that's the core problem. You're presenting this so-called opportunity like it's one that you can sell your way out of. In fact, you say as much. Quote, strategic service providers are going to need the sales skills and understanding of the customer to be able to envision how technology can remake the way its business runs. Yes, every business is in reassessment mode. It's easy to wave your opportunity magic wand around and declare everything an opportunity, but it's not actually true. What's frightening about this thinking is that it's not only not realistic, it's actually quite dangerous. Overabundant optimism can be very dangerous in difficult times. Now, why do you ask? In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins writes about the discussions with James Stockdale, prisoner of war during Vietnam for 7 years. When asked about his coping strategy, Stockdale said, quote, I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn the experience into the defining event of my life, which, in retrospect, I would not trade. Now, in follow-up, Collins asked who didn't make it out, and the reply is surprising. Quote, oh, that's easy, the optimists. Oh, they were the ones who said, we're going to get out by Christmas. And Christmas would come, and Christmas would go. And then they'd say, we're going to get out by Easter. And then Easter would come, and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again. And they died of a broken heart. This is a very important lesson. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be, end quote. The Stockdale Paradox is such that you have to confront the brutal facts and directly take on the brutal truth of the situation, yet at the same time, never give up hope. The reality of the situation is that the economic situation is not good, and it is likely to be bad for an extended period of time. Here's some facts. 1 in every 8,000 Americans has already died. This is the greatest economic contraction since the Great Depression. Previous partisan topics, such as universal basic income, universal health care, and privacy, are now bipartisan. Data from Wuhan already tells us that mobility does not return even weeks after the virus is contained. 52% of people said they're cutting personal spending. In various markets, here's the layoffs by industry. 83% travel, 74% retail, 70% real estate, 62% consulting, 58% manufacturing, 56% marketing and advertising. 50% of jobs in the US are with small businesses, who 3/4 of which have not enough cash on hand to cover expenses for the next 2 months or less. Think about it. How soon will you want to get on a plane, stand in a crowd, go to a crowded conference? If you were told there's a 0.5% chance of you dying, what chances are you comfortable taking? What do you avoid? This is the brutal truth you have to face first. Cash is going to be tight. Investments, deliberate. Frivolous spending is going to be frowned upon. Old business practices are being wiped away. This is a long, hard road, and there will be significant sacrifice and disruption if we plan to do it right and not have our children and grandchildren be paying for generations. And this is why I highlight the lack of depth in the piece that started with only one line about the situation. It's ignoring reality, hand-waving the challenges as if they're minor. I do believe there is opportunity here, but it's not endless. There are industries ripe for disruption. In times like this, wealth is not only destroyed, but new wealth is created. That's how I'm optimistic, and I don't give up hope at all. There is business to be done. There is innovation to be had. I hate the term business transformation, but that's what we're talking about here. This is not a problem that gets solved by selling. It's one that gets solved via real innovations. Education is an industry ripe for innovation, But do I really think that current players are just ready to buy technology to solve it? I don't. I think disruptors will cause the change. Remember solution selling. First, listen to a customer and identify a problem. From the market, I hear pain. I hear a lot of pain. You have to acknowledge that and be realistic about it first. You have to understand it and relate to it. It's more than wishing everyone was healthy. Second, you look for innovations and solutions that solve the problems you've identified. Finally, you tie your success to the success of your customer. That's solution selling. I'll call you when I need to buy something, Bob, because it seems like all you want to do is sell platitudes. Real optimism is confronting the paradox head on and then executing. Just like those optimists who died of a broken heart, you cannot afford to swing from arbitrary date to arbitrary date or ignore the actual reality of the situation. This is not the greatest opportunity because it's by far the hardest and the scarcest that we have seen in quite some time. Those that internalize the difficulty we face and combine that with optimism, who address the Stockdale Paradox we all face, will be those who find that opportunity. Don't be the ones who blind themselves to the reality. Thank you for listening. If you like this, there's a couple of things you can do. Like and subscribe to my content. You can catch content like this every single day on the Business of Tech podcast, available on every podcatcher platform out there. You can find links to everything that I do, both online and videos on YouTube and in the podcast at mspradio.com. And if you really like this and want me to do more, sign up on Patreon at patreon.com/mspradio and support the efforts. It's my Give What You Want platform. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. Stay optimistic. There is opportunity, and address that Stockdale Paradox.